Okay, this video or this game is about how to collect, cycle, and use your items. So you can see at the top there, you got 0 arrows. Press spacebar, I have 0 bombs. Press spacebar, I have 0 dynamite. And then you press spacebar, go through the cycling of the weapons that you haven't collected yet. So when I go and collect my item, bam, I got 2 of that one, 2 of that one, 2 of the arrows, or more than arrows, and then, okay, I collect them all. Now, yeah, the one thing it doesn't do is when you collect a different item, it doesn't pop up showing that other item, but I'll show you what I have now. Now I have 8 of the dynamite, 10 of the arrows, I collected them all, and 2 of the bombs. So that's how many you can collect on each item. So you can cycle through them using the space bar. Shows your counter there. Now, if I want to use my bomb, I just press the enter button and it uses the bomb. Dynamite. No more dynamite. Arrows. And it counts down. Then you have no more arrows. So now I cycle through my weapons. I have nothing left to use. So I'm going to show you how I did that. It's not that complex, but there's a lot of code here. So I'm not going to really go into detail with the character because I've already talked about in my previous videos. It's basically just making him run back and forth. So when I press the enter button, he's going to switch from stop right character to throw an item. So kind of like like Ninja Gaiden on Nintendo, where you press a certain button and he would throw out his hand, but if he has no item, he wouldn't throw anything out, but it's still he throws out his hand. Or in Castlevania or something like that, he would throw out his hand, but if he hadn't collected anything, he's not going to throw anything out. So he's going to do the image of him throwing something if he has something. If not, it's just going to show him moving his hand out. And you say change instance, yes. So he's going to throw out an image of his hand going in the right direction, or if he's going left, then he's going to throw out his hand going left. Center the character, and then you have your move while you're moving. Origins in the middle. Okay, so the first thing is he's moving right or he's moving left, and he comes across an arrow to pick up. So you're going to first basically destroy the pickup object by saying other, because if you have more than one pickup of that arrow on the ground, you don't want to say self, because then it'll destroy both of the arrows on the ground. So you want to just say other, so you're collecting that one arrow and you're leaving the other arrow to be collected up later on. So that's why you say other. If you say self, then if you have 2 arrows on the ground, you pick up the one arrow, it's also going to destroy the other arrow over there. So you don't want that. You want to make sure you set it to other. Alright, and then you have a coded sheet in here that's going to state global.ammoArrow equals global.ammoArrow plus 5. So he's going to gain 5 arrows. And there's a video that I watched on YouTube to do this, and I'll give you that video. The guy does a excellent job explaining everything in detail, so if you're not understanding what I'm talking about so much, you can watch his video. And I kind of added more to this. So if you watch the guy's video on YouTube, he's not going to go into this information right here. This information right here, I kind of like added, and I just played around with, because Yeah, I don't believe this strand of code's not in there with the video for some reason. The video explains it in detail, but I kind of expanded on it a little bit. So like I said, some of this information I'm talking about is not in the video I'm going to give you. But like I said, it's a good reference guide. So this is basically stating that he's going to collect 5 arrows, and it's going to show the number up on screen, and he's going to be able to, you know, press the enter button and use it. Okay, and then you got the bomb, set it to other. It's going to destroy that pickup item, which is, you know, these are the pickups here. So you collect one, and you want to say set and destroy to other, because you don't want to destroy that one. You want to just pick that one up and then come over here and pick that one up. So don't set it to self. If you set it to self, it's going to destroy both of them when you pick up one item. So that's what I was talking about. Same thing goes with the arrows and the dynamite. Okay, so put a coded sheet in there, and it's going to state global.ammoBomb equals global.ammoBomb plus 1. So he's only going to gain 1 when he collects the item. He's only going to be able to gain 1 bomb. Then same thing goes for the dynamite. It's going to destroy other, and then it's going to do global.ammoDynamite equals global.ammoDynamite plus 2. He's going to gain 2 dynamites. Also make sure when you do this code that you stay consistent with the coding. So I used AmmoDynamite in another coded strip that I'll talk about in a minute. Make sure it coincides with the same name. Otherwise the code's not going to work. Alright, so when I collect it, then I can press enter and I can use it. Otherwise, it's just going to show the character thrown out of his hand. It's not going to show the item because you haven't collected it. So that's the first step, picking up the item. Alright, and here I have global info. So the first global is 0O_global. You don't need a sprint for it. Under the crate, add event, then grab a coded sheet from the coded tab, control tab. You want to basically set all your information to 0 because you haven't collected anything when you first start the game. So I prefer to make all my weapons 0 because I don't want nothing when I first start the game. But if you wanted something, if you wanted some arrows, if you wanted some bombs, you could change these numbers. You could change that to, okay, I want to have 5 arrows when I first start the game. I want to have 6 bombs, and I want to have 7 dynamites. And also make sure that your selected is at 0. You don't want to have a number there. You only want to have a number on the weapons, because this selected thing, I believe, talks about when you press the space bar, it rotates, it cycles through your weapons. So keep that at 0. So then when I play the game, I already have my 5 arrows, 6 bombs, and 7 dynamites already, and then you could collect more, see? So I guess it depends on what you want to do. But you have to press the space bar to cycle to the item to use it. And you could put this number up here if you wanted to. I just decided to have it down here just in case if I collected a whole bunch, it won't look silly to have it in here, and you'll see it go past this pink line here. So I just put it down below here. You could also have an image behind this that follows the character. That way it's not going to be distracting on the background layer, so you can see your numbers, so you can make a black background if you wanted to see your numbers, and the image will follow the character. You could do that if you wanted to, and I've talked about that in my previous videos, how to make an image follow the character. So it's whatever you want to do. Okay, so I just prefer to have all my weapons at 0 because I haven't collected anything yet, so make it a little more challenging. So global.selection is going to be the rotation of your weapons, cycling of your weapons when you press the spacebar. Then, like I said, see how the naming convention is the same, AmmoArrow. I had the same thing. It's the same. It's the same. It's got to be the same. See, it's the same naming convention. Make sure it's the same name. Otherwise, it's not going to work. All right. I talked about the global. Now I'll talk about the 0 O underscore draw. Do a draw event, coded sheet. Now this information right here, this talks about what color you want your text, your counter to be. So I want it white. I want the font to be 0. I made a font here, font selection, and I did size 15, and I chose the default text. You can change this to anything you want. I might check, it's Arial, so you can change it to anything you wanted here. So your style. Alright, and then this right here says if global.selected equals 0, this is your then this is basically stating that it's going to be, this is basically talking about your cycling. So your first weapon that's going to be in the box when it's at 0 is going to be the auto arrow. AmmoArrow, sorry. So when you first start the game, you see an image of your arrow in the box. That's what's stating that. So when you first start the game, your selection at 0 because you haven't pressed the spacebar yet. The first image you're going to see is your arrow, and your arrow is going to be 0 because you haven't collected anything, unless you want to change that global to whatever number you wanted. All right, then you have draw a text. And it's going to basically state that your text is going to be pretty much centered underneath the box. And you use the view, X view, and the Y view, so that way when you move your character, the image follows the character. This is what that's stating. So you got 300 by 70, so that's basically centering the text underneath the outline box of the image of your selection. And then you draw a sprint, and this is your image of your arrow. This is S underscore arrow box. That's going to be your sprint here. This is called S underscore arrow box, and this is what your image looks like. It's the image of an arrow. And you could change this background instead of being transparent. You can make a white background or whatever you wanted to do. If you wanted to, you can do that if you wanted to. So it's not so transparent. So it's going to basically draw it on screen. That's what's happening here. It's going to draw your image of your arrow on screen. It's also going to draw your text on screen too. So my global settings for the arrow is my counter is at 0, so I can't throw anything out. So this is what that's stating right here. Then you have your AmmoBomb. So the selection is going to be equal to 1. So when you press the spacebar to rotate and cycle through your weapons you have, it's going to go to the next image, which is your bomb. And then you're using this draw sprint S underscore bomb box, which is going to be this S underscore bomb box here. And I'm going to make this background blue because it's already black. Actually, make it, doesn't matter. Like I said, you can make your box transparent like I had it originally, or you can just make a colored image in the back. It's up to you. And so you basically just copying everything. You're just copying this information right here, and you're changing a couple things. So one thing you're changing here is you're changing it to 1. You're not having it. You change it to 1, and you're changing your sprint, which is going to be your image of your next weapon. And like I said, the X view and Y view is the same. It's the same number, 300 by. Well, I kind of rotated this. 300 by 20, 300 by 20. Then your draw text is going to be 300 by 70. So it's going to center it in the middle, and then it's going to bring it down using the Y view at 70. So it's going to be underneath the square box, and it's going to draw the string, which is the text information, and it's going to show the image of the S bomb box. Then you have your last selection. Make sure you change your selection equals to 2, because you have your third option. So first option's 0, second is 1, third is 2. I don't know why this wouldn't start with 1, but just keep it at 0. And then, because that's what the guy was talking about, your first selection is going to be a 0. So you probably could make that 1 and then go into your global here and then make this selection 1. But it would probably mess it up, so I would just keep it at 0. So disregard what I said there about changing that number. Just keep that selection at 0. Your next selection is going to be equal to 1, and your last selection is going to be equal to 2. So your last selection is going to be the AmmoDynamite. So like I said, all this is the same. The only thing you're changing is the global right here. You're changing that to a different naming convention. You're changing the selection to a different number here, and your S image, your sprint image is going to change. So you got three things to change: the number, your sprint image, and your global right here is going to have to change. So those 3 items. Everything else should stay the same with the same numbers, coordinates and all. So the coordinates, the X view and Y view is going to follow the character when he moves on the screen, and it's going to be centered 300, going horizontal, and then going down using the Y view is going to be set to 20 for the image, and then the text is going to be set to 70. So the 70 the text is going to be further down below the image of the box. Yeah, so you use the else statement. So if you have if you have the dynamite, it's going to show up, and it will. But have you collected it yet? Maybe, maybe not. All right, and then make sure you put the global information inside your game. You have 2 question marks here. One's for the global, and you have one for the draw event. And then I have a bomb that throws out left, and I have another bomb that throws out right, and I have one for the dynamite that goes out left, and one goes out to the right. And I believe arrows too. I have one going left and one going right. So if he's going right, he throws the arrow going right. If he's going left, then he's going to throw out the arrow going left. The same for the bomb and the dynamite. Because the reason why I have 2 ways with the bombs and the arrows and all, because it's going to be going in different directions. So for like the bomb here, centered, I have a move free which is the move tab, and the direction is going to be at 150, and then the speed is going to be 10. Set it to relative. So this is basically stating that it's going to go at an angle at 150. The speed is going to be at 10. And I have a chart that I can upload to you guys too. The chart gives you a bunch of number directions on angles and all that stuff. There is you have this move free, you have these arrows here, but if you want to have something in between these two arrows here, then you have to use a number coded sheet, a number code, which is what I used here. So I use 150, so like in between this arrow here and this arrow here, there's 150 right here. This arrow right here I think is at 315, I believe. So my 150 is in between this arrow and this arrow, so it's right there in that direction there. Okay, and move free of course, because I put my own direction in there, and the speed. And then you have an encoded sheet in there that's going to set a gravity of 1. So it's going to go so high in the air, and then the gravity is going to kick in and drop it down. So after it reaches 10 speed at the direction 150, it's going to use that gravity to drop it down. Well, I guess it depends on how much gravity you add. If you add 2, 3, 4, whatever, it's going to drop the bomb down a lot quicker. So I did 1 because I wanted to go a little farther than normal. So you could do 0.5 or something, and it would go. It would probably go further, I believe. Let me try it. So it's going. I set it to left. So yeah, so it goes farther out. So if you use a point system, your bomb's going to go farther out. If you use a whole number, then it's going to fall down quicker. See? And so I just set the gravity to 1. Also, you need a begin step in there because that's talking about your gravity here. So the v speed is plus equals m underscore gravity semicolon. So this is pretty much setting up your gravity for your object. So you need that begin step in there. Then once it hits the bricks, then it's going to do the bomb effect, the sound. Then it's going to do a special effect, explosion, X and Y 0. It's going to explode small. Chose a color here, and it's going to be above the object and set it to relative. Make sure it's set to self, not other, because if you set it to other or object, then it's going to act weird. When you throw out more than one bomb, once the first bomb blows up on the ground, the second one's going to blow up in the air or something. So make sure you set it to self. Special effects in the draw tab there. Then you want to make sure you destroy self, the bomb itself, and then the speed is going to be 0, direction 0. And I believe the bricks has to be, no, the bricks don't have to be solid. Alright, and then, like I said, then you have your bomb going the right direction, and you have a different coordinate. See, I have the direction at 30, the speed's at 10, relative. So it's going to go a different direction, because you're throwing it right, not left this time. So, when I was mentioning about this, I meant this direction, not this direction. Sorry. So, it's 150 in between these two buttons right here. These two arrow buttons. 150 going this direction. and then like going right, you're using 0 here, and then 90 I believe is right in this area right here. But like I said, I'll give you that chart, because that chart gives you the correct coordinates for whatever angle you want, pretty much. So directions at 30, speed 10, relative check. So this is going to go right at an angle. And then you have your gravity set to 1. You could change this to 2 if you wanted to, and leave the object left bomb a different number if you wanted to. Then you have your begin step, and it's going to be your set the v speed plus equals m underscore gravity. And then if it hits the brick, then it's going to do the explosion, destroy self, and then you have your move your fixed location, set the middle, speed 0. Then same thing applies with the dynamite and the arrow, but with the dynamite I used the angle rotation, which I talked about in my previous video. So it's going to when you throw the dynamite, it's going to actually spin and rotate. So that's in the create event, and you have your step event for the rest of the remaining of the rotate. So it's going to do a real fast rotate of 20, going clockwise position, I believe. Then you have your begin step. This talks about the gravity I just talked about with the bomb. Then it does the explosion. You actually don't need this move fixed to 0. You don't need this in there. It's not necessary. I don't know why I added it in the other one. I'll delete it and test it out, but you shouldn't really need it. And then you have your dynamite going in the right direction. And see, I have the spin going in a different direction this time. Now it's going like counterclockwise, I believe. It's either going clockwise or counterclockwise. I can't remember. Got minus and plus. Plus goes one way, minus goes the other way. It should be going clockwise when you're going right, and then counterclockwise going left, I believe. So it's just the same information. I'm just repeating myself here. Does the bomb, does the explosion, set it to self. Now see, with this dynamite going right, I changed the direction to 60, so it's going a little higher up in the air at speed of 15, going right. And then when I'm going left, it's going to be at 120, and then speed of 15, relative set. And like I said, I'll give you that chart that gives you all the directions of the angles, the arrows going left and right. So you'll be able to know what I'm talking about there. Actually, now I'll just show you. I'll just upload it, and you can figure it out yourself, pretty much. And then you have your arrows here. Arrow is going to go just straight left at 10 speed. Then when it leaves the room, it's going to be destroyed. You leave the room, go to add event, other, go to outside room. It's going to destroy the arrow, because you don't want to have the arrow keep going and going and going when it's not even on screen. So you want to make sure you destroy it. Then you have your arrow going right at 10 speed, relative checked. When it leaves the room, it's going to be destroyed. Set it to self. And that's pretty much it. So, like I said, I'll give you the video on what the guy was talking about with collecting, cycling, and using. Well, actually, I think how he talks about is pretty much collecting the weapon and cycling through it. He doesn't really. Well, I think he does kind of use it, but I've added more. I expanded on his video a little bit, so not everything he talks about is going to be in my video here, but you have a little more better understanding of how to do this watching his video a little bit better. He explains it a little better than I do. But I'll let you download this game, and you can mess with the cycling and make your own game. Thanks for watching.